Welcome back, everybody, to the final week of our fantasy football podcast, I guess. It is over. It's officially done. Mr. Nick Geyer holds the trophy this year, takes the winnings, takes number one in the league. To finish her off, once we load, he ended up winning. Once we load, he ended up winning both weeks. Pulled away on both. Didn't really come down to like those final minute games. Where the hell is it at? Please tell me somebody has it. This doesn't load.
Yeah, I haven't put up.
Yeah, just your matchup final points. We're being a pain over here.
Yeah, I only have week 18, so go ahead, Nick, if you have both.
Yeah, so the total was 325 to 240.
225?
325 to 240.
Oh, 325 to 240. Okay. All right, yep. So decent win on your end there. I don't know why this computer doesn't pull up what I usually normally pull up, but that's cool. But yeah, so congratulations again to you. Hopefully we can get a ceremony, get you the trophy from Lonnie. You can hold on to it for a little bit. Last redraft winner before we head over into the dynasty world, a new improved system. Let me just hear you guys' thoughts quick. Both
Kevin, you go first.
Yeah.
Interrupt me too much. You go first.
To be honest, week 18 scared me a shit ton. I think obviously on both teams we just had a lot of our star players sitting. Nonetheless made me nervous because you don't know what bench player is going to go off or not go off. But I mean, the week started with CJ Stroud having his first pass be a 75-yard touchdown. Honestly thought I might be burnt. But I mean, I had some players come to play. Nick Mullen showed up in the second half. Joe Mixon had himself a day because Browns rested their entire defense, really. CD came out, and the Jets did really good, too. So, a really good showing in the playoffs on my side of the things.
Kevin?
Yeah, so quick question. Outside of Pacheco, who did not play for you that typically?
Travis Kelce, and I don't know because I dropped so many people. I guess it would have just been him and Pacheco and Kelce and the Browns. They've been my defense the whole time.
Typically, in a normal year, I would give you Kelce, but since he got outscored by Logan Thomas in the playoffs, I don't know if he counts.
Yeah.
That's pretty quick. But yeah, so overall, first things first, congrats, Nick. Good job. It is very good that there is no rule in the book that you're not allowed to win if you're lucky. So that's good. Week one.
If we want to talk about luck, we can talk about that Saints touchdown late in the game or the 1-yard turnover by the Panthers nearly getting a touchdown. There's some luck in there.
Oh, I mean, I was kind of talking about, final play of the game. Round one, scores a touchdown, magically advances. Round two, Steve sits Zay Flowers, magically advances. You did beat me.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. But week 18, you only missed out on Pacheco. I missed out on Cooper Kupp, Kieran Williams, Josh Jacobs, A.J. Brown. That sucks.
Hey, A.J. Brown played. He just got hurt.
Week 18 ever again. Love you, mean it, James. But no, I knew this week I was either putting up 200 or nothing because, I mean, my roster got depleted quickly. So I was just trying to pick and poke and try and find someone to go off. But I even looked after all the games were over. I think maybe two guys that were still a free agent scored like 20. So there was just nothing out there. But yeah, get it for a year. And then I have a very good feeling I'll be in the championship game again before Nick sniffs it. So we'll see.
You guys talk a lot of trash, but I'm still here, man. That's all I got to say.
Are, in fact, still present.
Hey, the facts are the facts. The numbers are the numbers. Am I right?
get to the numbers. Don't you worry.
Oh yeah.
Well, good news is bye-bye week 18. And you know what? It bit me in the ass severely, and this was my punishment because had we ended last week, I would have won.
76. Oh fuck.
Um, so had it won in week or had it ended in week 17, now it wouldn't change for you guys, but I would not have been last. So I'll take the L there. That's my fault, you know. We've done it before though, so whatever. We're done with that. 1 week championship, ending week 17. No more week 18 BS. This was a disaster. It was a tough watch. I'm not gonna lie, it was a tough watch.
Would 100% rather lose in week 17 and not have a chance to come back than do what I just did in that last week.
Yeah, that was rough. And you know what? I'm not even gonna say, like, my last week was so pitiful that I'm not even gonna talk about it. Like the fact that my number one scorer is my quarterback, Black QB, and then my number two scorer is my defense. Next best is why it was Darius Slade. Everyone else was just absolutely pathetic, except for a couple of guys on my bench that I named them appropriately and then didn't play them. So realistically, I probably could have won. But it's all right. Alani, I have to steal the hardware. If you notice, I changed the league trophy. So yours is still champion, and then it'll have your little name on there in the app. I did change the shit bowl one, the little cardboard box from Stupid Fucking Idiot to I did it for the league. So you're welcome there. I feel like I did take that one from Lonnie though. But Steve ends up winning his matchup. So
Third, fourth.
yeah, does it? We should adjust it in the standings, but it just goes from the previous year. Maybe it will when it updates. I don't think it does though.
Nick, me, Steve, Zach. I believe it was Noah Baker. Then it was Huffy. Then I remember the four.
I think Brad is before Baker and Huffy because I knocked him out. But yeah, it's hard to follow in the app.
Third, fourth, Brad fifth, Caleb sixth,
There you go.
and then Noah seventh, Huffy eighth, Noah Jackson ninth, Garrett 10th, Lonnie 11th, me 12th. There you go. So there are our final standings. I will just go ahead and pay for your plaque. It's probably going to anyways, but I did mention the loser paying for it every year, but maybe we'll start that in the following years. It's not very much anyways, I don't care. Speaking of which, starting Dynasty, we're starting a whole new world. We are coming up with a punishment. All right. It doesn't have to be drastic, but we have never in 3 years done a punishment. We've never really come up with one. We always get the, crazy ideas of, not going to say it again. But we're going to come up with a punishment this year. We're going to implicate one of those. So congrats to everyone on where you fell. Hopefully you fell in a reasonable place. I know we can't all win. So, but hopefully everybody got a good year. Evaluations seemed to go pretty well. Everybody seemed pretty happy there. So moving on, got a new member coming in, Steven. Gonna pick up a spot for Dynasty League and then kind of work that out and hop into that for the next season and see how it goes. It's gonna be a fun ride. But we do have end of year trade evaluations. Kevin's been keeping track all year, so I'm gonna let him take over with that one.
Yes. Broke down each trade and then I just did an overall view of, plus minus of what people did. So for you two, are there any specific trades? Because I'm not going to go over everyone, just kind of like big ones. Are there any specific trades you want to know about?
Chan for sure, because I feel like maybe it definitely didn't even out at the end, but I think the last couple of games were a little better for myself. And the Ayuk Pacheco ones, I think that one was pretty close.
Okay. James, anything for you?
You know which one.
All right, so we'll start with that one. It actually ended up being a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. It was my trade. I traded Jacoby Myers and Deion Jackson for AJ Brown. AJ Brown ended up netting me 83.4 points over those two, and I lost those 83.42. So it was a lot closer than I actually thought it was going to be, but still a pretty hefty chunk missing out there. Probably one of our most controversial trades. Lonnie trading away Jamar Chase and Michael Thomas for DJ Moore and Michael Pittman with Huffy. Now, in week 11, DJ Moore was traded again, so he ended up getting 0 points, for the rest of the year. Lonnie ended up winning that trade by 30 points. If he would have kept DJ Moore, it would have been a lot worse. So Lonnie is the overall winner on that bad boy. And that was not really good. This one I do have to point out, Zach, one and only trade. He traded Dak and Mr. Cook from the Bills to Lonnie for Darren Waller and Derrick Henry. Mr. Zach missed out on 263 points from that trade alone. So that didn't go well for him. We got the Nick trade with Garrett, Amari Cooper, and then White for Akane. Nick, you ended up losing out on 135 points for that one.
Yeah, I can't lie. White started off terrible in the first half of the year, and then he had a stretch of like 4 so good games, and I was like, this is such a sell high value, and it was clearly wrong.
And then last one, that Pacheco trade. The Pacheco trade was actually really even. You ended up winning that trade by 9 points. So that one was probably one of the most even spreads, at least. So those are really only kind of the big ones. Actually, another big one. Huffy traded Jalen Hurts and Chuba Hubbard to Noah Jackson for Jonathan Taylor. Huffy missed out on 204 points on that one. So for our overall trades, this is just everyone, all their trades basically added up. So I'll start off with the biggest losers. Huffy made 4 trades, lost every one of those trades, and over the season was down 332 points. Our next biggest loser, with 1 trade, Zach, at 263 points. Now, this man coming in third, I might have heard rumors. They could be correct, could be incorrect. But I believe he wanted to implement a trade chart for those who don't know ball, don't get taken advantage of. And over his 4 trades, Mr. Nick lost out on 254 points. So I don't
50
know.
of those got to be from a Cooper in one game, but yes.
Got to hit the refresh button on your trade chart or what. But third biggest loser there. And then we have a drastic drop off. Gets a little closer. Noah Baker, 2 trades. He only missed out on 90 points. And you 4 were the only negatives. Then we have James coming in 5th, gaining 15 points on his total trades out of 4. We have Brad Griffin. He ended up gaining 48 points on his 2 trades. I gained 60 on my 2 trades. Garrett gained 170 on his trades. Danber, 1 trade, gained 165. Noah Jackson, 1 trade, gained 204. And our biggest winner of the year in trades, Mr. Lonnie, with 6 trades, gaining 307 points. That's the wrap up. That's all I got.
All righty. It's interesting. Glad you kept those stats. It's interesting. You never know what's going to happen mid-season, so it's kind of cool to see it all lay out in the end and how it kind of happened and affected you and what you lost, what you gained. you know, and it makes you think sometimes when you gain 204 points or lost 330, whatever it was. You kind of start to question maybe, you know, where would you be? Which kind of leads me into my next little point. Yeah, you got something?
Out Steve. He made 2 trades, lost 37.
You forgot Steve. Oh, okay. Steve did. I didn't even see him on the show. Oh, there it is. Yeah, 2 trades minus 37. Gotcha. But yeah, so going to the next point, you know, I was talking a couple guys, Steve being one of them, just because Steve's kind of our outside source. I always like to talk to him, hear his personal opinion, whatnot. For Dynasty, I'm switching a setting that I know someone specifically is going to absolutely hate. I am turning off review trade pending time. That means that a trade is not going to sit in that chat and wait for everybody to vote on it. Basically, I'm going to see it, and it's going to process. If I feel that the trade sacrifices or compromises league integrity, or if there's a serious issue, then maybe I'm going to take a look at it, take it to the group, and decide from there. Other than that, trades are going to process without the approval of the group. There's one huge reason for this, and Steve makes a good point too. There is not a single person in this group that is to say whether something is good or bad in terms of a trade, because you never know what is going to happen. We have a paper that proves it. You just never know what's going to happen. Injuries. AJ Brown just got hurt, for example. Now, he might be done for the season. I'm not sure. I don't have the full report, but it doesn't look good. Now, obviously, that doesn't affect anything, but had I done that, or he done that the week after, okay, I don't miss out on those points. Injuries are something that typically you don't factor into a trade. Like, you're not planning, oh, this guy might get hurt, or, oh, he could get hurt. Do I really want to trade him or something? You just never know. The season is long. It is gruesome. Anything could happen. No one is here to say who is a better trader than the other. No one gets to say over the other person. I mean, that's all there is to it. So trades are going to process. And with the Dynasty League, it's going to be a lot different. You're trading picks. You're trading players, right? You're trading future picks. There's a lot to factor in. And quite frankly, the only reason that you would really want a group vote is if you think that it's just going to affect you and hurt you and cost your chances, which isn't really a fair trade denial. Take the NFL, for example. There is not a freaking poll of commissioners that are getting together and vetoing trades. I mean, if a team wants to go through with it, a team gets to go through with it. I mean, I expect everyone to make trades with integrity, with the thought of the future, but what?
To be fair, in the NFL, they also tank on purpose.
They do tank on purpose, which realistically is a thing in Dynasty. I mean, there are times where your later season probably going to tank a couple games for the year to help yourself get a draft pick. That's not necessarily wrong when it comes to Dynasty, as long as you're not drastically doing it. There's ways to do it properly, and there's ways to battle against it to keep it semi-reasonable. Like, okay, I'm going to lose this last game because I know where I'm at. I'm going to pick up this spot. That's not necessarily a drastic thing. If you're doing it all season, then we have an issue. If you're giving away picks to tank for the next 3 years, we have an issue. But tanking one specific game isn't necessarily, I'm going to cut you out of the league prime. It's realistically going to happen. It's super hard to debate. But in terms of the trades and the trade review panel, gone. So again, I expect everyone to make trades purposefully, reasonably, and for yourself, to better yourself. But I'm no one to say, you know, Nick's making an unfair trade to himself because he wants to set the person up in a worse position or himself in a worse position. I'm really no one to say that. Now, like I said, if it is absolutely off the walls drastic, that clearly there's an issue, it's going to be brought up. But for the most part, they're going to play out, and how they play out is how they play out. If someone makes a good trade and it happens to just better them, then that's on them. And if the other person willingly makes that trade, then quite frankly, it's completely fair. You can't argue that. I mean, if they think that it's helping them, even if you don't, that's up to them to say. So, going to be a big change in Dynasty. Some people are probably going to hate it. Just kind of how it goes. A few things are going to be changing. But it's a whole different gameplay. Like I said, I mean, you're preparing for years. You're not playing for right now. I mean, that's one thing that's probably going to have to hammer is like in a dynasty, you know, you're not playing to win this league because once you're up, I mean, you're done. Like you got to dish your team. You're playing for the future. So picks are going to be heavier than I think people anticipate they're going to be. I think they're heavier than they are now. I mean, they should be heavier than they are now. You're trading picks. I mean, you're building a team for years. It's not just, you know, this season. It's not a 5-month time frame or whatever. So just get ready for that. But that leads me to the other thing, just a couple, not really complaints, just questions. But in the initial draft of this season for the Dynasty, already said it, we are not trading. I'm not allowing trades in the startup draft. You can trade literally the second after. Please, please, please set your team. I do not want guys thinking they're making these awesome moves in the startup draft and screwing themselves, and in 2 weeks they want to leave. So this is just for the better of everybody. Please just draft according to what your plan is for this year, for the future. Do not trade picks. I'm not allowing it. Go ahead.
Did we decide how we're gonna do draft order? Is it gonna be like a lottery ball thing like we did this year?
It is going to be a lottery ball. I did decide. Someone shot the idea at me, except, well, it wasn't to me directly, but I saw the idea, thought it was pretty good. Basically, what I'm going to do is similar to last year where we did the lottery ball, but I'm actually going to do, because the ball was determined on how quick you paid. I think you would like keep my dues or whatever. So I'm not going to do it that way. Just going to do a hat of names, a hat of numbers, draw one, boom, here's your spot. I'm basically just going to do it like that, completely random. You'll just get a number that'll be your pick. Now, obviously, after that, for those of you that don't know how this works, your startup draft is going to be that way. It's going to be normal redraft style. It'll be like 32, 33 rounds or whatever. But the following years for your taxi, your rookie drafts, those are going to be organized properly as if they would be in the NFL. You may not have any. Understand that, like, you may trade your picks. You might not have a single pick in the following years for certain years. You might trade them all away for better players. That's perfectly fine. That's probably going to happen, but just understand. And in the first one, no trading. But yeah, I'm not going to get too much into dynasty. But any other questions on that and trading?
Not right now.
Gotcha. Okay. If there are any questions about that or anything else, again, please feel free. Text me. I'll tell you. I've told multiple people today what a taxi squad was. So we're getting a better understanding across the board. For those guys that don't know, don't feel afraid to ask. If you don't know something, I'm not going to shit on you about it. I'm learning just as you guys are. I've never done Dynasty before. But I'm trying to learn everything I can to answer every possible question that exists. But yeah, I mean, we're moving forward. Things are going good. We're getting people into the new league. Don't worry about it for now. Just send out invites for it because I'm creating a new one. I don't want to mess something up trying to transfer this league to a dynasty and something screws up. So I'm just doing a whole new league. Plus, we might keep this one if we ever did happen to go back, whatever. But yeah, so I guess when it comes to trading, we did up the entry fee this year to $30. I think most people were pretty solid on that. It's only a $5 bump. It's not huge. I kind of explained. Going to cut it in half a little bit because you're going to have to pay in advance. This is just typical for Dynasty. You will pay 50%. So realistically, your buy-in is going to be $45 this year because the 15 is going to go towards next year. And then when you do like trades, you're going to have to pay the rest. So in year 2, if you've made trade picks for the future, you should have already paid in all of that. It basically just keeps your incentive in the league, in the game. That way you're not tanking and you're not getting money back. If you pay over for a 2026 draft pick and you're all in on that, and you're not getting your money back. Kind of just how the league's going to roll with it. But hopefully everyone stays. Hopefully we don't have any issues. I don't think we would. I think everyone here seems pretty solid. I mean, most of you have been here for 3 years. I know it's a new thing, but we'll all kind of adapt together. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about with that. I kind of forget what it was. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Kevin, do you have that toilet bowl on you?
Well, not in Florida. It's actually in Port Clinton, so I could get it to you probably faster than if I had it on me.
Right. So Kevin has a little. I'm gonna pull the picture. See if I can find it. Let's see. It should be right here, right?
Yeah, I texted it to you.
Not there. Did text it to you, no? Here it is. So Kevin has this little fantasy football toilet trophy. We're gonna put into the league, throw in circulation, so I'll take it first year, no problem. Yeah, it's on me. But yeah, we'll kind of get that in circulation. We'll put that in the ceremony too for our loser. So this year, woohoo! I'll take her. Oh, I know what it was. Did votes today. I haven't got Steve's vote back yet, but it's not really gonna matter. No offense, Steve. I'll still ask you though. But I sent out 2 options for rosters for the Dynasty League. Option number 1, if you remember what they were, did win by a landslide. There's like 10 of the 11 votes. So it's going to be the one. Again, 9 out of 12, 75% will be our new rule changes. Again, rules can change in the future, but that's how they're going to have to be voted upon. So roster will look like this: 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex, 1 super flex. For those of you that didn't know what a super flex was, you can play QB, wide receiver, running back, tight end. So it's the 3 regular flex, but you could throw a QB in there. Tight end, no kicker, no defense, obviously. Currently 18 bench spots. It's going to leave us a 27 roster team for taxi squad. For those of you that didn't ask me that might not know what a taxi is, basically it's your rookies. We are going to do 1-year and 2-year rookies on there. So, for example, CJ Stroud could technically be on your taxi squad going into next year. If he is, you're kind of an idiot, but he could be. So 1- and 2-year guys only can interchange them in the offseason, but once the season starts, they cannot sit there anymore. You could pull them up. Well, they can sit there, but you can pull them up. You just can't put anyone into it. So if you move someone out of the taxi squad week 7 of the season, you got to cut somebody from your team. But yeah, that's just a quick example of taxi squad. Like I said, I'm going to make a bigger video over all of our rules, our league itself, kind of in depth, explain everything by myself within the next few months. Once everything is finalized, situated, give you guys the best understanding. Hopefully before the NFL draft is when I'll do it. Looks like our draft startup wise will be later. Seems what everyone's favoring. It'll be later, late summer, right before the season kind of kicks off. One big question on the draft, I want everyone to think about. This is going to be like a 32, 33 man draft. It is long. With that being said, there's 2 ways you can do it. If everybody in here is seriously dedicated, they know what they're looking for, they understand, we can do it in a Sunday. We got to get a Sunday. It's going to be a few hours. That's perfectly fine. Most dynasty leagues run on a slow draft. This means picks are 8 hours long. They could take 17 days. It runs through the email. So you would get notified. I would pause it between the hours of like midnight and 8 a.m. and it would continue. That's why it takes so long. But because your roster depth is so deep, a lot of times you're going to need kind of some additional research when you're getting to guys that you've never even heard of before. They're out there. So it just allows for more research time. But if you feel confident and everyone feels fine with the fact of going with the quicker draft, we can do the 2 5-minute thing. Just understand it's still going to take longer than our hour and a half, whatever it normally would take. It is much bigger. Got to kind of plan for a little bit. So think about that, because I do want to hear back from you on it, because we do have to make that decision. Because if we're going long, while we might do it in August, I would say we should probably do it in July start, because it can take a while. Realistically, it's not going to take that long, because like your first 5 to 8 rounds, you're probably going to have a pretty good idea of who you want. First 8 picks, the first round is going to go by in a minute typically, but once you get lower, it's going to slow down. So something to think about, keep in mind. Other than that, not going to get into that too much. We'll cover the rest of it at a later date. I'm going to keep asking you guys questions because we have to set these rules, and I do want your input on the rules to a certain extent. So, without further ado, Nick, again, congratulations. Get you your funds, get you your trophy, get a ceremony for us. Hopefully, Steve wants to go, so hopefully we can get something. Yeah. Steve will be there. But we'll figure something out. And then, other than that, man, Kevin, congrats on number 2. You're getting your money back. So at least you're getting something out of it. You're not profiting, but you're getting your money back. You made it this far. First season in, good expectations from you. I think we're all excited. Everyone else, great job, good year. Other than that, that's all I've got to wrap on the season, boys.
How much time you got left?
Like 5 minutes.
Cool. So, Steve, you know, the other day James said, "Hey, we're gonna hop on a Zoom call. I'm gonna introduce you to Steve. We're not gonna record it because Steve doesn't like to be recorded." So I get in there, right? Just me and James waiting on a Steve guy to show up. Still waiting. James pops off camera. All of a sudden, then Steve joins. It's a dude in a hat with glasses and a mask on. Ain't no way real. They never talked at the same time. I don't even know if they were in the video at the same time. This dude either had a green screen up or his damn cousin was in the video. Steve ain't real.
This guy's a goon. Steve told him to do that. Don't you listen? Nick has proof. You know what's funny in that video? He said he knew exactly who Nick was because Nick drove him home from the bar. So it's 2v1 right now.
Can you confirm that, Kevin? Did he say that?
Yeah, the guy in the mask said that, but you drove home that day. The person who was Steve.
It's so funny. That is so funny.
Good old Steve. He likes the bet for some reason. He loves it. He loves his little hidden identity self. But whatever, we'll give it to him. He's our ghost man. Oh, there was one other thing. Steve sent it to me actually. This is like kind of a quick turnaround. But he texted me last week and he said you should run a fantasy playoff league. Basically, you only use each player once throughout the playoffs. They're pretty fun. He did send me the link. So if we can do it in a week, if anyone's interested, we could run a quick playoff fantasy league. You just basically, pick the guys in each week. You can only use them once, whatever. What?
These are for monies.
I don't know. Well, Steve hates doing things for free. Absolutely hates it. Won't do it if it's for free. So just a thought, if you're interested, let me know. Maybe we can work something up, get something together. Maybe we can run one, but just a little something from Steve. But other than that, it's been fun. Can't wait to continue these back up. Will be another one, like I said, get everything organized, and then we'll take our little break and then kick it off for the next year. I do recommend. I know you don't have to. This isn't your life, right? It's no one's life. But if you're interested, look at the draft. Look at who's coming out. Might be interesting picks in there.
Nobody trade your picks. You don't need them.
This guy. But yeah, I mean, they're not all announced yet, so I'm sure we'll get a lot more after tonight's game. But pay attention or don't. Read a report 30 minutes before. You do you, but just my tip of the day. Keep that in mind. Other than that, I'll see you boys. Thank you guys for watching all season. It's been fun.